The next story, which is not actually one we announced in the description because we can't always fit every topic, and that is just annoying, but sadly that's just the way things are. For those who aren't aware, the UK courts have ruled trans folk legitimate targets for abuse. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going, what? Right, so for this we need to go back. There was an incident involving Stephanie Hayden and Kate Scotto. Stephanie Hayden, a trans woman, Kate Scotto, a notorious transphobe. Some of you might have previously heard of Stephanie Hayden. She was the woman who J.K. Rowling would later threaten with lawsuit unless she immediately retracted her comment on Twitter. So she removed her comment on Twitter and then posted a clarified version which made it much harder for J.K. Rowling to threaten lawsuit. So they're quite a public figure. They receive a lot of transphobic abuse, and at one point this Kate Scotto decided to come after her. And she was inciting hatred, causing a large crowd of gender-critical people to come hunt them down, misgendering them, referring to them as a pig in a wig. So it's quite clearly attacking over their trans identity, etc. And then, back in February of 2020, they went to court, and it was ruled that that Kate Scotto had violated Section 127 of the Communications Act of 2003. What the Communications Act 2003 deals in is malicious communications. So the person had contacted and used electronic communications to incite anguish and harassment of this individual. So they got fined, I think, £1,023, if I remember correctly. So that was that, and that seemed to be the case. Of course, Kate Scotto was not happy about the ruling, so she decided to take it to the appeals courts, I believe they're called. Let's double check what they actually are called. Court of Appeal in London, which means that she can have the first ruling challenged. And on Wednesday, the 16th of December, Lord Justice Bean and Justice Warbury ruled that, quote, free speech encompasses the right to offend and indeed the right to abuse another. Which completely violates the Section 127 of the Communications Act. So this makes absolutely no sense, except in pointing to trans people as an exception to the ruling. So that's the general case. I don't know if you have any comments on it before I start going into more details. Like any things you noticed, I can go into. I'm sorry. Levi?
Yeah?
Did you want to add anything? Have I missed anything?
No, sorry, I'm struggling to pay attention.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Stephanie appears to be intent on counter-appealing. We don't know if that will be the case. So I guess I should really go over the laws as this is like linked to. Besides the Section 127 of the Communications Act, what Kate Scotto had done could have been tried under harassment, which is a criminal offence. I should note that the malicious communications, which was discussed, also is a criminal offence. It carries with it the possibility of a 6-month sentencing plus fine. She wasn't sentenced prison time, but she did receive a fine. However, it also becomes far more complex in the fact that it also fits under the definition of a hate incident. For those who don't know, in the UK we kind of have a dual system when it comes to hate and law. We have general hate incidents, which is the umbrella, and then they get divided into two things. We have hate speech, which is incitement to abuse, violence, etc., and then we have hate crimes. And what a hate crime is is it's a criminal offence which is also intersects with a hate incident. And the way that works is on top of the punishment for the criminal act itself, a hate incident can also receive additional penalties, both financial and prison time. And the basis upon which that is done is the idea that when you partake in a hate crime, you're not just hurting the individual in question, the target, you're also hurting the demographic as a whole. And therefore, the punishment scales with the severity of the crime. A more severe crime, a more severe the punishment. And this is quite clearly a hate incident as well as a criminal offence. So by this logic, the laws on hate crime have also been attacked here for no reason. Thankfully, it won't actually result in a change to the policy as written, but this is now set as precedent, which is what courts can use to argue their case. So in this very eerily similar feeling to the early England and Wales High Court ruling on puberty blockers, which is having massive ramifications, this also is likely to have the same. Not only are trans people being stripped of our rights, we are now being stripped of our protections. This Court of Appeal has effectively declared trans people okay targets for abuse. And the word abuse is their word, not mine. They mention offence and abuse.
Can I ask what they said to justify this in anyone's eyes?
Well, they made a couple of references to like playgrounds, and the whole idea of like, we tell people to, we tell children to play nice with each other. And it's like, yeah, but these are adults. And this is a very clear case of harassment. This was not just someone in an argument saying something bad about someone. This is targeted, calculated harassment of a trans person who is already receiving an extortionate amount of hate for other reasons. And it was designed to also make other trans people feel unsafe and uncomfortable on social media sites such as Twitter.
That was the one thing that really jumped out at me, actually, is like just one was the audacity of talking down to an adult as if they are a child in a court case, any kind of court case, but especially a case like this. But also the hypocrisy, because they were saying this comment about teaching children to play nicely to the trans person, if I'm not mistaken. So they were saying, we are going to allow people to abuse you in the name of teaching people to play nicely.
Yeah.
Which is a very strange thing to say. I don't know. I don't know much about kids personally. I imagine there are people who are just as, if not more, ignorant than me. So if you're not aware of this, we do not punish children who are mean to other children by allowing them to be abused. That's not a thing that happens. Their analogy is broken. I don't like it.
Of course, they say this is based on free speech, which, again, interesting considering that Stephanie was threatened by lawsuit by J.K. Rowling, which completely shows the contradiction here. It's only free speech so long as it's convenient for me.
It's only free speech if it's anti-trans. If it's pro-trans or anti-bigot or anything, then roll out the slap suits. We didn't get free speech when it came to Grave Linehan, now did we? But billionaires allowed free speech to abuse trans people.
So again, Stephanie...
Play nicely, let your brother hit you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Stephanie, from what I've heard, is intending to push back. That might change. That might have already changed. So it'll be interesting to see. But again, this has a lot of people afraid, especially considering that 1 in 5, 20%, 21% specifically, of LGBT plus people in the UK have been the victim of a hate incident in the past 12 months. hate crime targeted towards LGBT plus people has spiked, specifically towards trans people. And we are seeing like judges ruling, you know what, abuse is actually okay. You can abuse people, specifically those people. And it's absolutely disgusting. And here's the nerve of the thing. I know that statistic on the increase of hate crime because at the same fucking time as this was happening, the British police came forward and said, hey, you know, LGBT plus people, we need you to start reporting hate incidents. And it's like, but why would they? We'll come back to the issues with police in the UK and all that, but as a hypothetical, let's pretend for a second that the police were perfect when it came to the documenting and archiving of hate crime and hate incident. What's the point? If the police are going to document it, it's going to go to court, and the judge is just going to rule abuse of trans people is okay, what's the fucking point? You know, oh, you can say, well, the police and the court are two different, you know, institutions of the same legal system. Yeah, but that's the thing. If one stops working, so does the other. You know, you can report away all you want. That's not going to change anything unless it is challenged in the court. As for the police, of course, a lot of people have mentioned the facts that when they have reported, specifically transphobic hate crime, the police have like mistreated them, misgendered them, not seemed to take it on with a serious attitude. People look at the hate crime laws in the UK and they say, actually, they're really serious, and like, you know, it shows how forward-thinking they are. No, there's a reason the hate crime laws are the way they are. For those who don't know what I'm on about, in the UK, if you believe you are the victim of a hate crime incident, the moment you say, I believe this crime was acted upon under the influence that I belong to demographic X, the police have to start investigating it as a hate crime. Whether or not it's ruled that in court is different, but they have to document it as a hate crime and take evidence in that way. And the reason they have to do that is because when that wasn't the policy, guess what they did? They just ignored people. You know, they didn't take the issue seriously, and so people came along and said, actually, we're going to introduce policy, so if you do screw up on this, your job is forfeit. Sadly, that doesn't seem to have actually worked. To this day, the police are very flippant in regards to various hate crimes, and there's not a lot of trust there. And as much as the police complain about, oh, you're not trusting us with these things, well, there's reasons for that. Individual experiences, high-profile cases in the courts like this, all of that impacts. Train says hi. All of that impacts how, you know, LGBT plus people interact with the legal system over here, and like people like I mentioned the trans hysteria a lot. I talk about it. It's the first part on our show we talked about it. The thing about the trans hysteria is, when I said we're in the trans hysteria, I don't mean we're at the peak of the trans hysteria. The trans hysteria period includes the sudden increase in awareness and the peak of abuse. I don't know if like we're peaking it now with the High Court ruling and you know, this case on abuse, but that scares me. The possibility that things could get worse, a lot worse, and it makes someone feel powerless. But we can talk about it and we can keep communicating, passing on information. Those who know the channel know that we have 1,990 or something pounds raised. This was originally raised to fight a slap suit by former comedian turned full-time transphobe Graham Linehan.
Former comedian, former human being.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I have my bi nails. Yeah, make the comments about the fingers all you want. But anyway, yes, we raised the money, and it's like, okay, well, he seems to have backed off on that. But now it's like, okay, we have to keep this money around because if someone else gets sued, we have a pledge to go help them. That's what the money's been kept around for currently. So, yeah. And I was thinking, hey, with the, there was the legal case to fight the High Court thing. I was thinking, hey, should I donate the £2,000 to that? But then I saw it jumps, it was 20,000 was the first goal. It was already at 18,000 when I saw it, and then it jumped 1,000 when I went out for a walk. It's past 100,000 now. They've raised well and truly on their goal. So it's like, okay, that doesn't need money. People are raising money for getting healthcare to those who have been stripped of it via Gender GP, which thankfully doesn't operate under UK medical guidelines because it doesn't have to. It works under guidelines set by other countries of the EU. But yeah, so people getting their medications via that. So it's I don't know if things are going to start getting better now, or if this is the start of things getting worse. So we're kind of sitting on that money to wait and see. Someone might need it in the near future. So yeah. Very, very depressing topic. I realise it's also a UK-centric one. So I don't know if either of my guests have anything to say on that.
I'm sorry, wait, either of your guests. I'm not a guest.
Well, yes, you're a co-host, okay. Well done, Levi. You can be pedantic.
I earned this position.
Hananya?
I worked really hard.
Are there any thoughts you'd like to share, or...?
Glade, you there? You okay?
I'm good. I'm just stupid American here.
Yeah.
Not stupid. It's just who needs to learn
Fine,
about
ignorant
the UK?
American. How about that?
It is kind of annoying that by the time I reached college, I knew more about the US election system and everything like that than I did the UK one, because that's how dominating it is.
Yeah, we took over the world. I'm well aware of this.
But I'm slowly infecting the rest of the world with my kangaroo brain. Ginger nuts, Glade, ginger nuts.
How dare you? How frickin' dare you?
I'm so cruel. I'm just bringing inside jokes into this stream that no one has any way of understanding.
But yeah.
For the one American, I believe, aka Sosh, ginger nuts are the UK and Australia word for ginger snaps. Ginger snaps the cookie.
They're called ginger
Cookies
cookies in India. In India, they're called ginger cookies as well.
When I first said ginger, because I just casually ginger. I like ginger nuts. I'm gonna try and get some ginger nuts. And Glade was so confused. Wait, you're gonna get a nut and put ginger on it? It's great.
Ginger nuts are the only type of ginger I will have.
That is valid. Hey, Glade. Wait.
What?
Thongs.
I hate you.
Why don't we all have a golden gay time?
Yes. I've actually eaten one of those.
I'm
I need
so
to.
confused.
Anyway, one thing
golden gay time is an Australian
ice
creams on
Infernal
Pop-Sticks.
216. Exactly. That's my exact issue.
No ginger nuts. Anyway, by that I should probably get this out there. For those who are watching and are interested in what counts as a hate incident, verbal and physical abuse, physical violence, teasing, bullying, threatening behavior, online abuse, and damage to property all constitute as a hate incident, which of course, when done with harassment, which is a criminal offence, makes it a hate crime. So yes, this person is guilty of a hate crime, and they've just been acquitted of everything. So it'll be interesting to see.
I'm sorry. Sasha just said poorly shaped gingerbread people.
Ginger fetuses. Yeah.
Different recipes, Sash.
But yeah.
They're very different. Ginger nuts are way more crunchy. They're not bread. They're like actual. Yeah. I'm sorry, I've derailed your stream.
It's
with my
fine.
biscuits.
There's a lot of heavy stuff to get through.
They are cookies.
But we get to the final topic. If anyone has any questions you'd like to ask either host or our guest, feel free to write them out. I'm sure Levi will keep an eye out for them.
I'll also keep an eye out for them.
We'll come back to them at the end. We'd have one more story, which is thankfully a lot more positive than the rest of the shit we've been dealing with today.